for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Rose Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Welcome to the Baseball Corner with Austin Orman.
Payoff pitch. High drive. Deep left. Grand slam. Bobby Witt Jr. wins it. Sensational.
The Nick Sainer.
Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. The Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over, and the Cubs have finally won it all.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Keep an eye on the ball as they go around the horn from local prep baseball to college baseball and even the minor and major leagues. Now, here are your hosts, Nick Sainert and Austin Orman.
Solo show tonight, solo dolo, just Austin Orman with you. In case you missed it, Nick Sainert is on the road. He is at Big Ten Media Days Volleyball Edition. Nick ought to be making his way back Maybe not quite yet, but within the next hour or so, I assume he would be on the road / in the skies, making his way back to Lincoln. Really appreciate him letting me fill in on the drive with AD earlier today. But it'll just be me here on the Baseball Corner with you for the next hour or so on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Streaming worldwide, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961 here in the local Lincoln, Nebraska area. And if you have any comments or questions baseball related, 402-464-5685. This show will start off with a discussion here about the Royals' injuries here that they've suffered, and then that'll lead into a discussion about Seth Lugo, the contract extension that he signed with the Royals. That'll lead us into plenty more wide-ranging baseball discussions, including some comments from Bryce Harper, directed not just at Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, but directed to Commissioner Rob Manfred from a meeting that went on in the Philadelphia Phillies locker room. Apparently, Rob Manfred travels around and talks with each and every team in baseball at least once a year. And there were some fireworks between Bryce Harper and the commissioner based on that meeting. We'll give you the details on that coming up here on the show. But again, 402-464-5685. If you have anything on your mind, anything that you want to talk about. But some injury news for the Kansas City Royals today. Wildly unfortunate. That is that Kris Bubic is being shut down for the remainder of the season. He is going to miss the rest of July here, certainly August and September, with an injury to his left rotator cuff. Right now it's being reported, as a strain by Ann Rogers of MLB.com. Rotator cuffs are scary for pitchers. It used to be Tommy John, right? It used to be the elbow in terms of the procedure. But now we see guys come back from Tommy John surgery almost like it's just a rite of passage. Like it's not nearly as big a deal as it used to be. The technology, the science has gotten so much better. But shoulders are a completely different animal. And we'll see what it means for Kris Bubic, a guy who's never been overpowering in terms of his stuff. He's been one of those kind of funky delivery pitchers who hides the ball really well, who throws hard enough, but you wouldn't necessarily categorize as a flamethrower even from the left side. Really unfortunate for a guy like Kris Bubic, who is having a career year. Early in the year, he was on some really historic sort of streaks for the Royals, especially for a guy that came where he did, right? That's a first-round kind of comp pick guy for the Royals out of Stanford in 2018. His career wins above replacement, 5.4. This year, he's put up 3.4 of that 5.8, I should say, rather. 8 wins, 7 losses. Record won't jump off the page at you, but an ERA of just 2.55 in 116 innings. Striking out a guy an inning and a whip just north of 1, which is down from his career number of 1.404. And for a guy like Kris Bubic, this comes at a really bad time for him personally, right at the end of a breakout season. Comes for a really bad time for the Royals here, just 3 days ahead of the trading deadline on Thursday. But Kris Bubic really began this breakout back in 2023. Think about Kris Bubic, the way he was pitching. He only made a couple of starts for the Royals, 3 of them, in fact. And his first 2 starts, he didn't get a win, but he went to 16 innings, gave up 7 runs in those 2 starts, or 3 starts. But most of that came against the Giants, where it was found out he had that UCL injury, and Kris Bubic needed to have his Tommy John surgery there. So he went on the shelf early in that season in 2023. He came back in 2024 and pitched for the Royals 27 times out of the bullpen. Only a 1-1 record, an ERA of 2.67 is pretty good. But how about this? In 30 innings, Kris Bubic struck out 39 batters and only walked 5. Almost an 8-1 strikeout to walk ratio across 121 batters faced. His ERA was really good at 2.67, but he might have even been unlucky as his fielding independent pitching, all the stuff the pitchers control when you look at strikeouts, walks, and home runs. That number was south of 2 at 1.95, which is absolutely incredible. An ERA plus of 155, which is, if you think about ERA plus like you would OPS plus, on base plus, slugging plus, essentially Kris Bubic in those 30 innings was 55% better than the average major leaguer. would have expected to be in that situation. Fast forward to this year as a starter. There were some questions for him. Well, would he be a starter? The Royals have a lot of depth with guys they signed, guys coming back off of injuries. Bubic is going to have to compete for a starting spot. He went out, he won the job in spring and did a fantastic job. This year, his ERA plus up to 161 before he got shelved, facing the third most batters of his career. He took the ball, got shelled as a young guy working through it all in 2021 and 2022, but facing just shy of 500 batters across 116 innings. Led at least the American League in home runs allowed per 9 innings, only half a home run allowed per 9 innings. That's really good. Strikeouts per 9 at 9 as a starter is really good. In the bullpen, that was at 11.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, which is what you're going for a guy in that role. But for him to take that leap from the bullpen, where he found a home, found a role, and helped the Royals to the American League Divisional Series last year against the Yankees, to take that, to head into the offseason and to get better, and then to have this sort of career year, be an all-star for the first time, man, it just stinks to have that taken away. And for the Royals, you add that to Cole Reagans, who's been shut down for a while. Neither guy ought to need surgery, at least according to now, but it's 2 left rotator cuff strains. It's going to take a lot of rest to get those back to normal. Both Bubic, obviously, and even Reagans over the last couple of years in Kansas City have seen their workloads upped dramatically. And they're, maybe Reagans is more of a power guy than Bubic is. Bubic didn't really have that injury history before the Tommy John. Cole Reagans did. The Royals knew what they had in Cole Reagans, ace, opening day starter type guy, finished top 4 in Cy Young voting last year. Chris Bubic was trending that way before his last couple starts, and certainly the shoulder stiffness and soreness that's going to shut him down is going to hold him back from getting more Cy Young consideration with still a couple months left to go in the season. That's now both stud lefties on the shelf for the Kansas City Royals. So here are the bright spots. Number 1, neither injury should require surgery. All right, you can live with that. Rotator cuff surgery, the road that it is for guys to come back from rotator cuff issues in Major League Baseball, it's difficult. It's rocky. There's not a great track record of success in coming back from those injuries. So the fact that the Royals get both of them to avoid surgery is absolutely fantastic. Now, the other bright side is that the Royals have Noah Cameron, who's really come in to his own in his first year in the major leagues. If not for Nick Kurtz, who we'll get to here in a little while, Noah Cameron very well might have skipped the line and been the front runner for American League Rookie of the Year. Noah Cameron, as a rookie, very similar size and build to Chris Bubic, both guys 6'3", 220-ish. Noah Cameron, not far behind Chris Bubic, despite not starting the year in the rotation like Bubic did. Noah Cameron's put up 3.1 wins above replacement, ERA of 2.44 across 14 starts for him. He's gone 81 innings in those 14 starts, struck out 71 batters, which tells you that he's relying a lot more on guile, certainly than the power stuff. And even for a guy like Noah Cameron, whose ERA is 2.44, his FIP is about a run and a quarter higher at 3.67, and even 1 for a walks and hits per innings pitched, that's fine. You can live with that for a guy that isn't projected to be a top of the rotation ace, but is certainly pitching like one right now. He's allowed 9 home runs in those 81 innings, but his ERA plus 168. So again, in the same neighborhood as Bubic. So not only did the Royals find one Chris Bubic, they found another one in Noah Cameron, and he's still pitching. That's great. And the other big upside for the Royals is that they were able to re-sign Seth Lugo. Details of the contract for Seth Lugo. It'll be a 2-year deal worth $46 million, some of that in bonuses, so up to $46 million. And then the 3rd year of the contract, of the extension, will be a vesting option. In case you're like me and you had heard the term vesting option but didn't know what it was, a vesting option means that the 3rd year, the final year of the contract with that option, will kick in if and only if Lugo meets some performance thresholds. And the performance threshold that the Royals put on this vesting option was innings. So for Seth Lugo, if over the next 2 seasons he pitches a certain amount of innings, he will get that 3rd year to kick into his contract, and that'll be, again, worth approximately $23 million. It'll average out to $23 million across all 3 years by the end of the contract at the very least. And for Seth Lugo, that's another guy, same wins above replacement as Noah Cameron, 3.1 ERA south of 3 in 19 starts. Did miss some time due to like a little thumb injury of some sort, but he's come back, hasn't skipped a beat. Seth Lugo, of course, was an all-star last year, second in Cy Young voting, 15th in MVP. Also managed to win a Gold Glove. And the fact that the Royals were able to re-sign Seth Lugo, I think is really good news for the Royals for the rest of the year. When you look at the state of the rotation right now, with Reagan's out, with Bubic out, and then with Michael Lorenzen out nursing an oblique strain, Royals are in a bit of a predicament when it comes to the rotation. So being able to not just have Seth Lugo for the next couple days and maybe one more start before the trade deadline, you lock him in, you think you're able to remain competitive in his starts. Noah Cameron doesn't show any signs of injury or slowing down right now, so you have him there in that starting rotation. Rich Hill actually takes the mound for the Royals tonight. That's a guy they signed for depth about a month or two ago at this point. You think about Dallas Keuchel, another kind of journeyman major leaguer who had some really high notes for the Houston Astros back in their kind of first wave of success in the mid to late 2010s. And then they got to find one. They really got to find another starter. You can't just survive on bullpen days from the end of July all the way through the end of September and even into, if the Royals get hot and make a run into the playoffs in October, like they did last year. So re-signing Seth Lugo certainly helps stabilize the Royals rotation for the remainder of this season. Let's go ahead and go to our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line here. My dad asks, thoughts on KC having Lugo, Waka, Reagans, and Bubic under contract for the next couple of years at least? Kansas City just needs to shore out the outfield to put a decent lineup behind all those pitchers. Good call. Forgot about Michael Waka. That's another guy there in that starting rotation who has been absolutely rock solid for the Royals. Let me get Waka's numbers pulled up. My recollection is he's pretty much pitched like the back of his baseball card for the last couple of years, and maybe even gotten a little bit better as he leans more into the slider and the changeup that got him to where he is now. So for Michael Waka, Royals got him from San Diego a couple of years ago, just like they did Seth Lugo. He's put up 3.4 wins above replacement last year, 2.5 so far this year. Record not great for Michael Waka, but he's taken the ball, I believe, all 21 times he's been asked to so far this year. Gone 117 innings. His ERA is 3.5. That's pretty darn good for your third starter, which he would be for a lot of different teams. His fielding independent pitching, 3.74, ERA plus 116. Yeah, Royals are getting exactly what they pay for out of Michael Waka. So let's go back to that text there. Thoughts on Kansas City having Lugo, Waka, Reagans, and Bubic under contract for the next couple of years at least? Great. Fantastic. Fun. Absolutely will not complain. That is a killer starting rotation that a bunch of teams in Major League Baseball are jealous of. I think that's the way the Royals need to build their franchise in a lot of ways, is find an inefficiency or find something that you can be good at repeatedly, whether that's developing a pitcher like Noah Cameron, whether it's finding Michael Waka and Seth Lugo in free agency, whether it's identifying guys in trades like Cole Reagans or Chris Bubic in the MLB draft and making them the best versions of themselves. We've seen plenty of pitchers get better for Kansas City over the last couple years, really. And so having all those guys under control is awesome. It shows they know what they're doing on the pitching side. I will also say this. It's probably a good sign for the Royals and for baseball, right? The Royals are spending to keep their free agents. Think about this. The Royals have now agreed to extensions with Bobby Witt Jr., superstar, Cole Reagans, superstar in the making, as long as he's able to get back to health, Michael Waka, who we just talked about in terms of being a really solid number 3 starter, who can flash number 2, really doesn't give you worse than number 4 on any given night. Good. They extended him to keep him around for another couple years. And now Seth Lugo on top of that. That's not something many small market teams are doing. And we still have to throw Kansas City in that conversation as a bottom 4, bottom 5 market in terms of size in baseball. So good on Kansas City for that, right? Good on John Sherman, his ownership group, for green-lighting that spending after the Royals showed just how good they were at finding pitching, developing pitching, and improving pitching. Good. If the Royals want to go ahead and be a new model for small market teams, that's not a problem by me, because you think about the teams that you root for, the favorite teams that you remember, they have good players. It sounds so reductive. It sounds so simple, but if you have good players, you should want to keep them, right? It shouldn't be a hard question to answer. If you have good players, you should want your team to pay money to re-sign them to continue to be good for your team, and not just to have them to flip them, to have them to flip them. And I think it is so admirable what the Royals are doing in leaning into, hey, we finally have a bunch of good players that not only we believe in, but that believe in our vision, a bunch of players that we like having around in our clubhouse, setting examples for younger guys in terms of how to be professionals, how to go about business. But we have guys that want to be here, that like to be here, right? Bobby Witt Jr. was under no obligation to sign his contract extension as the Royals' biggest star since probably Carlos Beltran. And guess what? The Royals found a way to do it. You think about Cole Reagan, same thing. That was a lottery ticket. That was a flyer, kind of the throw-in potentially in the Texas Rangers trade. Royals identified him. Rangers didn't really want to give him up, but he'd been injured. He signed an extension to stay. Michael Wacha, a veteran kind of journeyman who'd bounced around the league, found a place in Kansas City in terms of the baseball franchise that believed in him, that made him better, even as he's in the back portion of his career. He liked it in Kansas City, so instead of hitting the open market, he re-signs. And then Seth Lugo, right? The Royals were the first team to really believe in Seth Lugo long-term as a starter. He appreciated that. The Royals appreciate how good he's been, and they paid to keep him around. That's not a conversation that you hear a lot with small market teams, right? Especially ones that are bordering on competitive like the Royals are this year, on the fringes of the playoff race, because a lot of these small market teams will sell, right? Get an asset to the peak of his value, flip him for more, wash, rinse, repeat. But this is where we'll take our first break, and we'll turn the conversation that way. As admirable and as noble as it is for the Royals to make this decision to go this route, to really only buy on the margins, right? If you look at the Adam Frazier re-addition and the Randall Grichuk trade that just happened a couple days ago, it's noble that the Royals are going in on 2025 to the extent they feel they can. It's nice that they want to, say they want to be competitive again in 2026. But is it noble for the Royals to do that, or is it short-sighted? Are the Royals going to be able to forge a new path for small market teams, or are they just fighting against what the data says small market teams have needed to do to be successful in baseball, really as long as baseball's, been around in this current state? Let's talk about that. Should the Royals have kept and extended Seth Lugo? Should they have traded him? What are other teams in baseball doing? That'll be the next segment of the Baseball Corner.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Hop in the batter's box because it's time for the second inning of the Baseball Corner with Nick Sainert and Austin Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
Welcome back in. It is the Baseball Corner with me, Austin Orman. Appreciate you being along for the ride. 402-464-5685 if you want to interact with the show, or as you see below me, give me a follow on Twitter, tweet anything at me at Austin_Orman. All right. Point number one in this Kansas City Royals focus discussion so far is that it is fantastic that the Royals are spending to keep free agents that, number one, the Royals want to keep, and number two, free agents that have fallen in love with Kansas City. That's something Seth Lugo mentioned as he spoke to the media today regarding his contract alongside general manager J.J. Piccolo. And as a Royals fan, as a fan of all those guys that have extensions, right? Bobby Witt Jr., Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha, and now Seth Lugo, it would be so fun, so fantastic to see the Royals lock up Vinny Pasquantino, who's been a really, good hitter for the Royals since the calendar flipped to essentially, May. It'd be really cool to see the Royals extend Maikel Garcia, to believe that his breakout is legitimate, to do the same thing with Chris Bubich on the bump. It would be so fun to see the Royals be the model small market franchise. I need to see it to believe it. It's really only been a 2, maybe and a half year run of success in even anything pointing that direction, but you need to see more. Some teams that maybe have taken that mantle of model organization for those mid to small market teams, you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, who the Royals hired manager Matt Quatrero away from. You think about a team in the Royals division in the Cleveland Guardians, and you think about the Milwaukee Brewers. And when you talk about those teams and how they win, it's complex, right? And we'll get to the whole salary cap discussion in baseball probably in our final segment or towards the end of this one. But small market teams, more often than not, or even if you don't want to say small market teams that are unwilling to spend in free agency, whether that's a fact or something they've just convinced themselves of. If you're going to operate as if you don't have the revenue to compete in free agency, that leaves you two avenues to continually be competitive. Maybe three, right? The first example would be Moneyball, right? Find a stat, find a skill that is undervalued in the current game, prove that it leads to winning, emphasize it with no contradictions, and profit, right? That's the Moneyball A's. What does he do well? He gets on base, valuing that more than batting average. Really helped the Oakland Athletics and ushered in a lot of where we are in baseball today. But if you're not going to be a player in free agency, because guess what? Home runs are expensive in free agency. On-base percentage is also expensive when you get to free agency. So if you're not going to be willing or able to pony up there, that leaves you with the draft and with trades. We'll start with the draft here because unlike the Rays, unlike the Brewers, unlike the Guardians, Kansas City has wasted a lot of top picks that, quite frankly, Tampa Bay, Milwaukee, and Cleveland haven't had. And this isn't just like, the NFL draft or the NBA draft where everyone gets a first round pick. Sure, you have like the lottery in the NBA. Those first 14 picks hold maybe more value, especially for the chance they have to jump up to number one overall. Or in the NFL, where you're probably going to get a contributor in from day one of the NFL draft. In baseball, all these guys, for the most part, aside from Paul Skeens, are at least 2 years away, if not 3, maybe even 4. And you have to have the developmental systems in place to capitalize on that. And sure, you can maybe argue it's easier to find a contributor in the back half of the first round in baseball, especially with as long as that first round stretches on with the qualifying offer picks, the competitive balance picks, and all that. But baseball players, with how long it takes them to reach the major leagues, that's a lot more time for things to go wrong, to prove that they can't hang at a level. And you've seen Tampa Bay, you've seen Milwaukee, you've seen Cleveland do a really good job in that back half of the first round onto, day 2 and day 3 of the MLB draft before, whereas Kansas City hasn't gotten everything out of the top 10 picks that it's been able to secure, especially before the system that's set up to, kind of do away with or discourage tanking, where teams can't pick inside the back or the top 10 more than twice in a row, is I believe how the system is set up. So, even if the White Sox and the Rockies continue to be this terrible, no matter what, even if they finish with the worst and second worst records in baseball, since they've picked in the top 10 2 years in a row, they won't be able to have a top 10 pick. And that's not where Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Tampa Bay have lived. They've been in that mid to late part of the first round because they haven't just done contention windows. They found ways to be competitive continually, be in or around the playoff race with hopes to advance. And it's not because they're drafting super high and they have these waves of talent that comes in highly regarded and then gives a boost to the team. They've been doing it mostly through trades. And by doing it, by winning trades more often than they lose, right? For the Pittsburgh Pirates, who haven't really sold a whole lot, for the Colorado Rockies, who certainly haven't sold as much as they need to given the state of the team, maybe the Washington Nationals have lucked into it with some of their top talent and traded it away. It doesn't have to be that way. Draft a star, extract 3-4 good years of the majors out of him, trade him for the next wave. Hope you hit on a guy in that trade. If he's good, you play him for 4 or 5 years and trade him on his expiring contract. Let someone else deal with the contract ramifications. It doesn't need to be that way in baseball. And a lot of teams treat it that way, right? Especially these mid to small market, disengaged in free agency teams. But that's not really what Milwaukee and Cleveland and Tampa Bay are. You can argue, Cleveland trading away Francisco Lindor to the Mets was a little bit of that, but I think that's more the exception that proves the rule. The Rays have done it, but is Blake Snell a no doubt frontline guy? Tyler Glasnow, same thing, right? A couple lefties with injury history. No, the Rays are selling damaged assets, but they're still selling them. But what the Rays, the Brewers, and the Guardians have done, I think, is really best explained through an article I read from The Athletic today. It was the personalities that are shaping the MLB trade deadline. And this isn't just a one-year, snapshot. This is, personality, character. Who are we dealing with in terms of general managers and executives? And they go through kind of the different archetypes of general managers, right? You have the straight shooters. You have the fishermen that cast a lot of nets both ways. You have the spies. You have the ones that play hard to get. And then you get to a section in this article titled The Volume Shooters. Let me just read an excerpt from this article to really set up my point. So from The Athletic. When Jerry Dipoto arrived in Seattle in the fall of 2015, he looked to Tampa Bay for guidance. He had just ended a rocky tenure running the Los Angeles Angels, where he often clashed with manager Mike Scioscia under the meddlesome ownership of Art Moreno. He sought organizational stability. To do so, he opted to emulate the franchise with the least stable roster construction. We've modeled a lot of what we do after the Rays, Dipoto said. The Rays are in many ways the most influential team of the 21st century. The team has retained that mantle even after Andrew Friedman left for the Dodgers. There are Tampa Bay alumni running the Milwaukee Brewers, Matt Arnold, and the Miami Marlins, Peter Bendix. Chaim Bloom, the former Rays and Red Sox executive, will take over the Cardinals after this season. Eric Neander has kept the Rays relevant despite the executive brain drain and the regularly changing roster. Okay, now that we're through that, here's the money quote. The club turns over by design. Tampa Bay is, in the industry parlance, transactional. The team pursues good deals, but not great deals, not once-in-a-century deals, Eric Neander said. You're putting yourself in a position to make a lot of deals. And I think by way of making a lot of deals, you're betting on the volume, putting you in a position to succeed. All right, how does that play into everything I've said about the Kansas City Royals so far? I love what they're doing in re-signing the guys that they like and the guys that like them, but it's not the Rays' way that they thought they were going to be bringing in with Matt Quatraro. The Royals' strategy is not something that we have often seen from small market teams trying to be competitive year in, year out. Now, if John Sherman wants to make the Royals into a bigger spender, where they are top 15, top half of the league in payroll every year, more power to him. Thank you. I look forward to free agency every offseason. Am I convinced that's going to happen? No. It seems right now like the Royals are trying to walk that very fine line. And we'll get into the reasons why. But the first point I need to make is that is an incredibly difficult line to walk, regardless of sports, regardless of market size. Again, it's noble. I can credit the Royals for wanting to do it, but it comes with its own risk of putting the Royals right back where they are right now. When you think about what it is that Tampa does, what Milwaukee does, what Cleveland does, they don't pick in the top 10. They don't spend in free agency. What do? They make a bunch of trades that get them better on the margins, right? That's what Eric Neander said. You're putting yourself in a position to make a lot of deals. And I think by way of making a lot of deals, you're betting on the volume, putting you in a position to succeed. Let's say that each trade a team makes nets them, on average, like, let's do half a win above replacement, per trade, which probably way more than it actually nets. If you make one trade, okay, there's another half a win. That doesn't move the needle quite yet. You make two trades, 1 win above replacement. Okay, maybe that breaks a tiebreaker, but probably not. Win and a half, you're building something. 2 wins, okay, now you're starting to cook. 3 wins, 4 wins, that's 6 to 8 trades, and you're 3 or 4 wins better. That's the difference between a wild card berth and staying home. That's the difference between winning your division and going on the road in the first round for the wild card. Now, of course, not every trade is worth half a win above replacement, and I get that. But it sounded like for years, the Royals have been so scared to miss on a trade that they don't make as many trades as they need to. The Royals especially become so enamored of their own guys and put such a focus on, hey, look how many guys we got to the majors, without keeping the focus on the main point is, are they productive major leaguers? It's great to get them there, but how good are they once they get there? That's the real question. And maybe this is changing a little bit under JJ Picollo, right? You think about the Adam Frazier trade for Cam Devaney. Cam Devaney was 26, 28 years old, got called up to the majors, never played. I just don't think he's appeared in a major league game yet. For Adam Frazier, a veteran who doesn't move the needle much for the Royals, and move I wouldn't have made, but the fan base was so in love with Cam Devaney, who knows what he's going to be? Probably nothing. And the operative word there is probably. You think about last year's trade with the Texas Rangers. The Royals trade away Walter Pennington. Oh, he's tearing it up in Omaha. Oh, his numbers are so good. Walter Pennington barely pitched for Texas last year. Has pitched only a couple times for Baltimore this year, is on the injured list. Andrew Hoffman for Randall Grichuk. Randall Grichuk was bad to start the year. He's gotten better. Andrew Hoffman has elite numbers in the minor leagues. So-so in the majors, not great, maybe pitched into a little bit of bad luck. But what Tampa does, what Milwaukee does, what Cleveland does, is bet on the guys that they're trading away, the guys that they have had in their organization, that they have studied better than anyone, you would think. They're betting that they know their own prospects better, and they take that calculated risk, that calculated gamble, which is all it ever is, that they will end up at the end of the day with more value out of that trade than the team they're trading with. They are less worried about what they are trading away and more worried about what they're trading for. Less worried about the optics of, oh, this is our guy. More worried about the optics of, how do we extend our contention window? How do we get better on the margins? Little by little, bit by bit, and those add up over time. The Royals have never done that. And that's not what the Royals are necessarily doing right now. Again, maybe those fringe moves, right, for Grichuk, maybe for Frazier, but I think more often than not, the Royals need to be the team trading for Cam Devaney instead of the team trading for Adam Frazier. I think that was a negative value move, but it doesn't really move the needle, right? Randall Grichuk, needs to be the type of guy the Royals trade away to get an Andrew Hoffman moving forward. And then if Andrew Hoffman's good, that's when you flip him, probably as part of a package deal. And this all comes back to, over the last month or so, I had really talked myself into a Seth Lugo trade. Not because I don't like watching it. Not because I don't appreciate who he is or what he's done for the Royals. Not because I don't think he's that good and everything's a house of cards about to come crashing down, right? I'd even talked myself into Carlos Estevez being gone and maybe should be gone. Maybe putting feelers out there about Jonathan India or Freddie Fermin, right? Maybe even, in the nuclear option, Maikel Garcia and Chris Bubic, as potential trade pieces. Not saying you have to do something, but if you get the right deal for a guy like that, it's going to hurt now. But can you extend your window and remain competitive year after year? Right now, it feels a little short-sighted for the Royals in 25 and 26. Seems to me like they're betting on that they have more reinforcements, more cavalry in the outfield, and that they can develop more pitchers like Noah Cameron, in a couple of years is when those guys will be ready. So it seems like the Royals are going in on remaining competitive in the race in 2025, being better in 2026, and then getting reinforcements from the farm system in 2007 and 2028. That makes sense. It's commendable. Not a lot of small market teams do that unless they have the infrastructure already in place. I think the Royals are still building out a lot of their minor league infrastructure. There's not a lot for the Royals to trade from the minors, which is another reason why I had talked myself into the Lugo trade. How do Milwaukee and Tampa and Cleveland continue to thrive? They always have reinforcements. They always have the next guy up. The Royals don't necessarily have that right now. So the chance to trade Seth Lugo, yes, it would have probably hurt the Royals' chances, especially even more now with Bubic going down in 2025. Maybe it makes them better in 2026, but it almost assuredly makes them better in 2027 and 2028. Those are the types of moves those other small market teams I mentioned make on the regular. Not every so often, but they extract value in trades wherever they can, playing the odds and banking on them being in their team's favor. It might not sit well with fans with a stadium on the horizon to sell this year and you're only a handful of games out of a wild card spot. In a division where Detroit made a heck of a run last year, from how dead in the water they were at the All-Star break to one of the hottest teams in baseball, come the wild card round that they qualified for. Selling off a guy like Seth Lugo probably wouldn't have sat well with the fan base at large. It's not listening to this and not paying attention to baseball asset management. But I ask you, Royals fans, would you rather be a little more competitive this year or a lot more competitive down the line? And maybe they can do both. Maybe re-signing Seth Lugo, extending him, not even re-signing, but extending him before he hits the free agent market, is the Royals being confident in their ability to walk that tightrope, to pay the guys they want to pay, and to still have, flexibility for years to come. But what the Royals did not do in buying Randall Grichuk and buying Adam Frazier and by extending Seth Lugo is the Royals didn't extend their contention window past this year. Maybe with Lugo, you can argue that they did, but the Royals didn't make the tail end of the early Bobby Witt Jr. years into the prime of Bobby Witt Jr.'s career any better, with this move for Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo was reportedly on the table for, at least one of the Cubs' best outfield prospects, which the Royals need desperately. Number one, learn to draft and develop outfielders. Every other team in baseball seemingly can do it. The Royals haven't. So they are way behind the curve on that. But you had a chance to get potentially your corner outfielder of the future, probably left fielder if Jack Caglione is going to be healthy enough to stick in right after his hamstring strain. You had the chance to get the corner outfielder of your future, whether that's Kevin Alcantara, whether that's Owen Casey, whoever it is you want to throw out there, for 2 months, maybe 3 months of Seth Lugo. And you didn't do it. That's not the Rays way. That's not how the Brewers have stayed good. That's not how the Guardians are annoyingly in the race every year. And I think about it through this lens too. You know that you're the first team to give Seth Lugo a chance as a starter. He knows that. He's mentioned that his family has fallen in love with Kansas City. He loves it there. He trusts the coaching staff in the city and all that sort of stuff. Is there a way, to have that conversation with Seth Lugo? Hey, man, you know how much we appreciate you. You know how much we appreciate the work you've put in. We saw this coming when no one else did. We signed you for a reason. You've lived up to it and more. We love having you around. We know how much you love the city. We know how much you love the organization. Can you understand that us trading you is not personal? It is business. So we can get an outfield prospect or two, an outfield prospect and a flyer of an arm that we can develop to make your next 2 or 3 years in Kansas City even better than this one. So we're not back in this position in a year or two. We're going to trade you now. You get another playoff run, but with the understanding that because you appreciate us, we appreciate you. We're first in line at the table to meet with you and make you an offer, right? We'll pay you again next offseason, but you can also help us be in a position to better maximize these next couple of years with the return we get for you. Maybe that's collusion. Maybe that's, non-competitive, and that wouldn't fly if that ever leaked. I don't know. Maybe it's illegal. I certainly don't want the Royals to do that, especially if, Lugo understands it's just business for just a couple months. And the Royals, he knows that the Royals believed in him before anyone else did as a starter. It's not they're worried about his age. It's not they're worried about his durability or whatever toward the middle end of his career as well. It's simply, we have the chance to trade you for 3 months to get better for your next 3 years. If I'm a guy and I hear that, I would be all over that if I go in with the understanding that I'm going to re-sign with this franchise. Here's the counterpoint. I can hear the argument already. Why would the Royals want Seth Lugo putting on high-stress innings for another team? Why would they want him out of their building when they value his mentorship, his leadership, and everything he means to that organization, right? And if he gets out the door, who's to say he doesn't fall in love with that other team, that other city, that other club, or he hits the open market and someone offers him money that the Royals, plain and simple, can't or won't compete with? Those are the issues to it. So it's not a foolproof strategy to do what I did. It certainly might be collusion, and I don't know that for a fact. But I had just gotten so trade pilled by looking at Milwaukee, by looking at Tampa, by looking at Cleveland, that my initial reaction to the Seth Lugo extension was a twinge of disappointment. And I kind of hate that about myself. And maybe I've gotten too front office pilled, right? Too trade pilled to see that what really matters is, hey, the Royals care about competing every year. They're going to put in resources to make sure they're as competitive as they can be. And hey, you like watching good players. They paid a good player to stick around. I'm a little ashamed of myself as a pure sports fan for not being more excited by that signing. I don't think I'm fully wrong for my first reaction. I think there's a lot of merit to what I said. But as a Royals fan, I hope at the end of the day, they're right. that they can change the paradigm, that they can show the rest of the league that a little investment goes a long way, that they can remain competitive, in the major leagues while upgrading their farm system from the back half of the first round, middle back half of the first round, by being competitive every year and improving their development at the minor league level. Let's go ahead and go to break. Couple more minor headlines to talk about in baseball to wrap up the show.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also, no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Rose Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Grab your glove and hit the dirt. It's time for the third inning of the Baseball Corner with Nick Sainert and Austin Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
That's right, third inning of Baseball Corner. It is Austin Norman with you here for just another couple minutes before we turn things over to the rest of Ticket Weeknights. Harrison, Jeffrey, and Tristan in the building, taking you through the rest of your evening. Royals fans hoped for a splash from first base slugging prospect Jack Caglione. He has not exactly stolen the show certainly not like a compadre in his rookie class, and that is Nick Kurtz. So, Nick Kurtz, first baseman for the Oakland Athletics, maybe lost a little bit of shine to his shortstop, Jacob Wilson, who started the year out on a heater in the batter's box, hitting for a lot of average, not drawing a lot of walks. But what Nick Kurtz has done since he got called up on April 23rd, all he's done is post the second best on-base plus slugging in Major League Baseball. Only one guy's ahead of him, and that's Aaron Judge, who you might have missed, is being shut down for a little bit with a throwing arm injury. So we'll monitor that for last year's American League MVP. So not only is Nick Kurtz the second best hitter in baseball since, essentially 3 months ago, Nick Kurtz has already made Major League Baseball history. My friends, in his game against the Houston Astros, he did stuff in one game that the majority of players never accomplish for their career. So this is from Opta Stats on Twitter. Since RBI became official in 1920, only one Major League Baseball player has had, over the course of his entire career, whether it's in the same game or not, one player has ever had a game with 4 home runs, a game with 5 or more extra base hits, a game with 6 or more hits, a game with 6 or more runs, and a game with 8 or more runs driven in. That was Nick Kurtz's line score in one game. Not just one series, right? Michael Harris of the Braves made some history too. 2 singles, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers in a weekend series. The Braves are taking on the Royals on air right now. That was over the course of a series. 2 of every kind of hit. That's pretty impressive. But Nick Kurtz, 4 home runs, a single and a double. And on that double, he just missed becoming the first Major League Baseball player with 5 home runs in a game. He could have had a 5-homer, 1 single day if he hits that ball probably 10, 15 feet more toward left field instead of center field. So 5 extra base hits, 6 total hits. He scored 6 runs in the game. Every time he came up to plate, he was guaranteed to end his trip around the bases right there as well. Also ended up driving in 8 runs. So 4 homers, pretty rare. 5+ extra base hits, pretty rare. 6 hits, obviously rare. 8+ RBI, rare. And how about this? The rarest of all those stats for Nick Kurtz is scoring 6 or more runs. Only the 9th time in Major League Baseball history it's happened, according to Cespedes Family Barbecue. They tweeted this out on July 25th, the night it happened. Here's the list of guys that have scored 6 or more runs in a game. In fact, 6 is the Major League Baseball record that Nick Kurtz tied. It was Mel Ott a couple times in the 40s, Johnny Pesky. You have Frank Torrey, not Joe Torre. You have Spike Owen, Eduardo Alfonso, and only 2 guys have done it in the 2000s. It was Sean Green on his magical night against the Brewers when he went 6 for 6 with 4 home runs, 7 runs driven in as well. And how about this, Royals fans? Here's a little bit of a deep cut. Joe Randa, in a really weird September game, he was just about to turn 35 years old. Royals beat Detroit 26-5. Joe Randa went 6 for 7, only drove in 2 runs, hit 1 double, 5 singles, and scored 6 runs. That's pretty incredible. A couple final Nick Kurtz stats for you. Major League Baseball leaders over the last month. Nick Kurtz has the most home runs in baseball with 12, the most RBI with 31, the highest isolated slugging average. So that's your batting average, or your slugging percentage minus your batting average, at 586. That is off the charts nuts. Highest batting average, highest on base percentage, highest slugging percentage, just shy of 1,000 per at bat. Highest weighted on base average, a 292 weighted runs created plus, which tells you that one Nick Kurtz is worth 2.92 average Major League Baseball players in the box. He's put up 2.5 Fangraphs wins above replacement in a month. You extrapolate that out over the, what would it be, 8-9 months of the year? You're talking about baseball's first 20-win player or so. He will probably cool down. Probably, right? Major League Baseball fans and certainly American League West teams fans are banking on that. We'll call that a baseball corner right there. Appreciate you indulging me and my Royals thoughts over the course of the last hour. We'll turn it over to Ticket Weeknights here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge